Hey everyone, Joe here. Today I'm reviewing the ASUS Zenbook 14 OLED model number UX3402 from the perspective of a visual content creator. First of all, a disclaimer, this is a review unit on loan from ASUS Singapore. And let me just give you the bottom line up front. This laptop looks good and performs well for non-gaming usage. The display is a 14-inch OLED with 2.8K resolution and the aspect ratio is 16:10. The size is good enough for graphic design apps with space for just one column of palettes on the side. Standard brightness is up to 400 nits and color support is 100% DCI-P3, so the display is bright and vibrant enough for visual content work. The main limitation with this laptop for visual content creation is the screen size, which is just 14 inches. So if you use apps that have a lot of user interface elements, it can feel quite cramped. So if you want to improve your productivity, it's best to connect this to an external display. I was told by ASUS that this OLED display has very good control for blue light, which can be harmful to your eyes. I'll show you the demonstration later. As for downsides, the audio quality is limited by the back-facing speakers. The front camera is 720p resolution and the configuration is limited to just 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of internal storage. Alright, on to the full review. These are the items included in the box. That's a 66-watt USB-C charger, the power cable for the charger, user guide, and a laptop carrying sleeve. The packing list may differ depending on region and country. Shown on the screen right now are the specifications for the two models of Zenbook 14 OLED. My review unit comes with the 12th Gen Intel Core i7 1260p processor, and the retail price here in Singapore is $1,899. The other model comes with the AMD Ryzen 7 5825U processor, and that is 1,799 Singapore dollars. So the AMD version is cheaper. This is a beautiful laptop with solid build quality. The weight is 1.39 kg. This design is compact, portable, and easy to bring around. The display can go completely flat, but I'm not sure what's the use case for this. The lid is made with metal, and this is matte textured. There are some glossy lines for design, and that's the ASUS Zenbook logo, which you probably cannot see. There are two pieces of hard rubber or hard plastic, which acts as feet for the display. So when you pull the display up like this, those two feet will be in contact with the tabletop. And in this video, you may hear some squeaking sounds. That's due to the 2 feet on this leather desk pad that I have. If you have the laptop on hard surfaces, it's not going to make any squeaking or strange sounds. On the back of the laptop are two back-facing speakers that use the Dolby Atmos sound system. The sound is loud and clear enough, but the sound quality is limited by them being back-facing speakers. You can change the internal SSD that's inside if you want to, but the RAM is soldered. These are the fan grills for air intake, and the exhaust is here on the left side and also here. The lid can be opened with one hand, and as you open this, it will also lift the laptop up. This will provide better ventilation for the laptop and provide you with a slightly inclined surface to type on. On the left side of the laptop, there is one USB-A port with transfer speeds up to USB 3.2 Gen 2. On the right side, you can find a power and charging light indicator, a micro SD card slot, two Thunderbolt 4 ports, a 3.5mm audio jack, and a full-size HDMI 2.1 port. This keyboard is backlit with 3 brightness levels. The typing experience is good. The key travel is 1.4mm. The spring and feedback is good. The power button is located here between the print screen button and the delete button. And this power button has a fingerprint sensor built into it, which works very effectively and fast. The touchpad is big enough and has left and right click areas. This also supports finger gestures. This shortcut allows you to light up the number pad, and you can adjust the lighting with this shortcut on the left and turn it off here again. This is a 14-inch OLED display with 16 by 10 aspect ratio. The resolution is 2880 by 1800 and the pixel density is 242 ppi. So all the visuals on this display look sharp with no noticeable pixelation when working from one arm's length away. My color calibrator doesn't work with OLED displays, so I can't tell you the exact color measurements. But generally speaking, OLED displays have good color support, and for this particular display, it's said to support up to 100% DCI-P3 color gamut. So this is definitely a color accurate display that has colors good enough for visual content creation. The refresh rate of this display is up to 90 Hz. 90 Hz refresh rate provides a visibly smoother scrolling experience compared to 60 Hz, and zooming in and out is very smooth as well. By the way, this display is glossy, but this is not a touch screen. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but this display is quite reflective. Standard brightness for this display is up to 400 nits and HDR brightness is up to 600 nits. So this is a bright and vibrant display. The experience of doing graphic design work and editing photos with this display is terrific. With the resolution and 16 by 10 aspect ratio, you can work on a 16 by 9 canvas, and this will fit perfectly with space for one column of palettes on the right side. Personally, I would prefer to work on a laptop that is at least 15 and 16 inches for graphic design work, but the trade-off is 15 and 16 inch laptops are going to be heavier. So if you want something that is more portable, go with 14 or 15 inch laptops. ASUS has actually provided me with this lens so that I can show you how much blue light is emitted by their OLED display versus LCD displays. So let me put the lens over the camera on my phone. This lens can actually detect blue light, and the OLED display appears black, but it's not completely black because it emits a very low amount of blue light. And on the right side is actually an iPad with LCD display, so you can see the screen and the content because there is enough blue light for the lens, for this lens, to detect. I don't test for blue light emission with my reviews because I don't have the equipment, so this is the first time I'm doing such a test. Anyway, it said that blue light can be harmful to eyes, so the low blue light emission with this OLED display is one of the main selling points for this laptop. And now let's talk about performance. This laptop is equipped with the 12th Gen Intel Core i7 1260p processor, which has 4 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. I don't have any benchmarks for you. All I can say is I've been using this laptop for the past few days and my experience has been uneventful. There are no surprises, everything just works, it's fast, it's smooth, multitasking works fine, it's very quick to switch between apps. The transfer speed for the internal SSD is 2.6 gigabytes per second for read and 4.9 gigabytes per second for write, so that's pretty fast. Let's see how much time it takes to load some photos. So these are 16 megapixel raw photos, and the import time looks good. The thumbnails are drawn quite quickly. Let me just select all the photos and do auto correction. The updates are quite fast. Let's go into this photo, switch to develop mode. I can see the switch from library to develop mode is slightly longer compared to my other laptop, but it's still really fast. Not something I can complain about. And updates to the photo appears instantly. And this is a beautiful display to work with when it comes to video editing because it's bright and it's sharp and the colors are accurate. There is another model of this laptop that comes with the AMD processor. The main difference for me between Intel and AMD is Intel has this feature called Quick Sync, which allows you to export videos slightly faster than AMD. So if the bulk of your work does not involve video editing, you can just go with the AMD version to save money. I do not expect the Intel processor to be significantly more powerful compared to the AMD processor. It's just that with Intel Quick Sync, you can export videos faster in a shorter amount of time. But when it comes to the video editing process, it's going to be smooth on both Intel and AMD. So this video editing app that I'm using is DaVinci Resolve, and for this very simple video project, which is just cut and paste, the playback for 4K 25 FPS is smooth. It's just that the playback for the timeline below is not as smooth. But if you switch over to the other editing mode, here it looks fine. Everything is smooth. Actually, it feels smoother in this mode. This is the edit mode versus the cut mode. Scrolling the timeline looks smooth enough for me. It's just that it takes some time for the visuals on the timeline to load. So you can see it takes a few seconds to load. But that doesn't affect the video editing process, thankfully. This laptop can handle casual video editing, but if your video project requires more effects, perhaps go with the more powerful Intel processors, such as the H series processor, not the P series processor that's inside this laptop. There is no dedicated graphics card in the laptop. There is Intel Iris Xe, and that can be used to play some games. With this game Hades, I was able to get 60 frames per second. Anyway, this game is not graphics intensive. With Red Dead Redemption 2, I can only get 19 frames per second with 1080p and 30 frames per second with 720p. If you want better gaming performance, just go with gaming laptops, but those are going to be heavier and more expensive. Another thing about gaming is the exhaust comes out from the left side. Let me just pause this. So if you game with a mouse, your right hand will not get blasted with hot air because the hot air comes out from that side. The last thing I want to mention is, of course, the battery life. So let's take a look at that. The battery capacity is 75 watt-hour, and according to the Windows battery report, battery life from the past few days of usage for me is just 6 hours. This laptop supports fast charging with the included charger. It can get back 60% battery life with 45 minutes of charging, and if you use a more powerful charger, this laptop can take in up to 100 watts. If I'm not using this laptop to edit photos and videos, I can get around 6 hours of battery life, and that's for checking emails, writing, surfing the web, and watching videos. If I do use this laptop to edit photos and videos, obviously the battery life is going to be shorter. So to conclude, this is a good looking laptop with good performance given the specifications. It's compact, portable, easy to bring around. The OLED display is beautiful, sharp and bright. So this is a laptop that can be used for visual content creation, with the main limitation being the smaller 14-inch display, but I really like the 16:10 aspect ratio. I did not experience any issues with this laptop after testing it for 2 weeks. The main downsides for this laptop for me would be the audio quality with the back-facing speakers. The audio sounds good, but the audio quality can sound better if the speakers are front-facing. And this laptop has limited configuration, so you can only get this with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of internal storage. So if you want more storage, you have to swap out the SSD yourself. This is a decent laptop at a reasonable price, so you can decide whether or not this is worth your money based on the findings I have presented. If you have the intention to get this laptop, you can use the purchase links that I have for you in the video description below. Alright, I hope this review is useful. See you guys again. Bye!